Hello, and welcome back to the Health Anxiety School podcast. Oh, it's been a crazy week for me. My baby boy just turned 2, so I can't believe that he's 2 already. So we had a bunch of parties. My grandma also turned 80. Wow. So it's been pretty hectic, but very, very, very fun. And through all of it, I've been present. I've been able to enjoy all these memories that we created, all this time that I spent with them. So I'm so grateful for these moments that I don't spend time in my head, or that I don't just make up this reality that it's not true and feel all by myself living in my head with my scenarios like I used to. So that's a little life update for me and what I've been doing in the past week and weekend. Today, we're diving into something that will change how you see your health anxiety forever. If it's one episode that you need to listen to, it's this. Today, we're asking, is health anxiety actually a protective mechanism? How so, and what is it really protecting you from? This is one of the episodes that will make you pause and go, okay, wow, like this is what's been happening all along. It's going to create a lot of aha moments and your brain will just go, what? I never thought about it that way, or I never heard about health anxiety in this way. In my days with health anxiety, I took it as if it was my enemy. I used to blame everything on the fact that I struggle with health anxiety. Health anxiety made me do this, or health anxiety makes me feel these symptoms. I was deflecting and acting as the victim of my own doing. But here's the truth. Nobody can make you think or do anything unless you think it first. When I started my healing journey, I began training my mind to think differently. And for a while that worked. And I was so happy and so proud of myself that I was able to get out of that compulsive thinking and intrusive thoughts that I was stuck in. That was okay until I got H. pylori, the bacteria. I spent about a month in and out of the doctor's office. And then I started to panic again. My fight or flight response came back, and I was once again trapped in fearful thoughts because they couldn't find what I had. So my mind went straight to, but what if it's this? What if it's more than just stomach pain? What if I'm going to die? So I was caught up again in this fearful loop of fearing that I'm going to die. That was the moment I paused and I asked myself, if my mind is not the root cause, then what is? Like, what's it going to take for me not to panic, not to catastrophize, not to spiral whenever I deal with emotionally challenging situations or life-threatening? And by the way, on your healing journey, the universe will always put these kind of tests in your path, not to punish you, but to help you to truly heal what's still left and reconnect you with your intuition, with who you truly are. That happens to all of us. It doesn't mean that we haven't made progress. It doesn't mean that we are back where we started. It just means that we need to bring forward the tools and everything that we've learned so far, and especially the proof that we can overcome this, that we can be stronger than our fear, and we can listen to our intuition, no matter how loud the fear is whenever we deal with these situations. So I went deeper. I went deeper because I wanted to learn, what is this all about? What is it going to take? I learned more about our bodies, our fear responses, the neuroscience of the brain, and that's when I discovered what internal family systems therapy calls a protector. A protector is a part of ourselves. It could be you at 4 years old, at 6, at 10, 15, a version of you that lived through certain times, certain events, formed certain perceptions, and built up emotions that never got processed. And those unprocessed emotions, they still drive your actions today. So here's how I see this applying to health anxiety. The protector, your health anxiety, is protecting a part of you that learned long ago that emotions were unsafe to feel. Not because someone told you directly, don't feel, but maybe you were told, suck it up, get over it, move on, stop crying already. Or maybe you went through something huge, but your caregivers didn't treat it as important, even though it was really important for you. So in those moments, what our brain does, it just says, well, I must not be strong enough to handle emotions, so I'll just dismiss them. That part of you grew up being dismissed. And now, whenever emotions come up, good or bad, you dismiss them. It's a learned behavior. It's a learned pattern. It's the command you gave your nervous system and your mind while growing up. Even the good emotions. I said you dismiss the emotions, good or bad. Yes, even the good. Think about it. How often, when you feel good, are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? Now, back then, I tried to rationalize my symptoms. I thought logic would save me. I was trying to tell myself that it's not true because of this or because of that. I remember taking the plane and I just read all these books ahead of time, and I brought all these points with me about how it's safe and how I'm not going to die on the plane. And that never worked. No matter how much I read about it and no matter how much I tried to rationalize with my own self. Because this protector part doesn't need logic. It doesn't need logic at first. What it needs at first is safety. It's emotional connection. It needs to know that it's going to be okay. It needs to know that it's okay to feel before it will listen to any mind reframes that we're trying to do. And here's another layer that just blew my mind when I learned it. When we have anxious thoughts, our heart starts to race, right? We get dizzy. Our thoughts have already manifested into physical. Everything starts with a thought. This mic started with a thought, right? Someone had a thought about a mic and then it was created into physical reality. But everything had to start with a thought. So when we have anxious thoughts, we manifest them into physical. Why? Because energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's a scientific law. So if I'm anxious and I can't shake that feeling, where does the energy go? If we don't shift it into different energy, it has to physically manifest somewhere. Maybe in the heart, maybe as a tension, maybe as a symptom. And when we keep labeling ourselves as an anxious person, that energy keeps amplifying because it has to go somewhere. It will pull in circumstances, people, and events that match it. But here's the empowering part. Energy can be transmuted and transformed. We can change anxiety into a different emotion. That's why when we know how to apply neuroscience tools and somatic tools to this part of ourselves, specifically the protector part, we can transform the energy and let it completely leave our body. That's how we heal the root cause of the symptoms, the spirals, the compulsions, and all the other things that come with health anxiety. Here's how I began. I started to reparent this part of myself. I rebuilt a relationship with her that she never had with my caregivers. Back then, no one talked about emotional safety. Parents didn't know what we know now. The first time I reconnected with this part of myself, she didn't want to listen to me. She didn't trust me. She kept pushing me away. Why? Because it was a relationship that was not built on trust. Because I've never showed up for her. I always dismissed her. Think about it as you've had an acquaintance that always liked you or wanted to be around you, but you've never actually put in the effort to build a relationship with that person. And all of a sudden, you just have this pull to get to know this person better. If this person has loved you and you kept on dismissing them, they might be really, really inclined to not want to trust you at first because they've tried in the past, but you never showed up for them because you kept dismissing them. Which, by the way, dismissal of this part of ourselves is a learned behavior from our caregivers. If that's what we learned, that's what we're going to do because we feel that this is something normal to do. So I began to teach her that it's safe to feel emotions, that these are just emotions created by my thoughts, and my thoughts are not the truth. And most importantly, I showed up for her every time she was triggered. If you are triggered and in that moment you dismiss her and you don't show up for her, then the relationship is not solidifying as it should. Think about it in this way. If you have a kid and your baby comes up to you and tells you that they did a boo-boo, if you dismiss them, they think it's normal to do that. They don't trust you to take care of them in a way that they need. And over time, the relationship weakens. It's the same thing whenever this part of you shows up because she's triggered and she's trying to tell you some thoughts that she has, and you keep dismissing her because you're afraid of hearing what she has to say because you're taking her thoughts as truth. Because you feel that we are going to die, that you're going to die based on just the thoughts that she's giving you. When in reality, all she's telling you is, but what if it's something more than just this? And as the parent to this part of yourself, we're supposed to come in and say, hey, it's nothing. It's just a fearful thought. We were just triggered because there's a deep fear within ourselves that never got healed. And it's how our nervous system reacts. And it goes into this fight or flight because it's trying to protect you. And all you need right now is to feel safe, to feel heard, to feel seen, and a hug, a big hug. The thing is, it's not just doing breath work for the today me. It's doing breath work with the protector part of you, bringing her forward, helping her to feel safe through the breath by hearing her thoughts, no matter how crazy they sound, and then reframing them and then rationalizing with her before anything else. Whenever you see a kid that has a tantrum and you try to rationalize to them that, no, you cannot walk on the ceiling like Spider-Man, they're never going to get it because they're not in the logical part of the brain. They're in the emotional part of the brain. They feel a pull towards it. They want to do it. But most of the times what parents do, they try to come in with logic. But kids don't understand logic at first. And neither do we. When there's an emotional need there, we need to meet ourselves emotionally first before we come in and calm down the rational part of us with so much proof that here's why not. Here's why you're safe. Here's why you're not going to die. But when we come in and we apply neuroscience tools and breath work on ourselves today we are conscious. This part of ourselves is not conscious. She works in the subconscious mind. And that's where 95% of our reality is created. That's why this work is so powerful, because whenever we apply neuroscience and somatic work to this part of ourselves, we experience a massive shift because we're changing the subconscious brain. So that's where the neuroscience also comes in. Tools to rewire the brain that only work when applied to the specific thoughts she has in the moment of being triggered. That's what makes rewiring powerful and permanent. What happened for me, the more I showed up for this part of myself and I comforted her at first and helped her to feel safe, and I gave her this hug and stayed with her in her emotions, she started to let go of this protective mechanism of health anxiety because she no longer needed it. She felt strong enough, she felt safe enough and connected enough to her intuition to be led by her intuition in fearful moments instead of being led by fear and survival. That's how we heal at the root. This is a process that I teach you how to do and how to connect with this protector part of you inside the Reconnect membership. If you have tried tools in the past, if you have tried breathwork, somatic exercises, doing a lot of nervous system work, but you feel like you're still stuck, it might be because you have not applied all of these tools on this part of yourself that doesn't feel safe. Again, when you're applying tools to a conscious part of you, it is as if you're saying, well, I know this, like I know I'm safe, but she doesn't. And she's the one that takes completely over whenever you're triggered. She needs to be the one that feels safe to let go and to follow her intuition in those moments. She needs to be the one that says, I'm safe and I'm okay in the unknown. I'm okay to go into a situation that I have not planned ahead of time and to feel safe in it. She has to be the one saying that, not you today, that consciously understands all these concepts and is very knowledgeable because she's read so many things and she's watched so many videos. Okay, we need to go at the subconscious level to completely change how we think and how we feel. I had a client once who asked me a question. She said, is it okay if I feel this? If you've ever asked yourself this question, it brings me back so much to thinking of myself as a child. It is as if we are asking permission to our primary caregivers to feel something that we don't know if it's okay to feel or not. So when she's asking this question, is not actually her today. It's this part of herself that doesn't know what's coming up. And she doesn't understand what anger is, what anger feels like, doesn't understand what fear means or overwhelm or any other kind of strong emotions. She doesn't really know what emotions are, right? So we have to show up today to parent this part of ourselves and to help her to feel connected to your own self again. Because you've lost the connection with her, you've also lost a connection with your body. That's why it feels like you cannot trust your body anymore or that you cannot trust yourself anymore. Because there's this relationship, this connection that you are missing and that you need to reconnect with and rebuild every single day this relationship by showing up for your own self. for this part of you. Before we wrap up, I want to give you something you can start using right away. If you haven't already grabbed my free guide, the 5-step sequence to stop spirals, plus reconnect with your intuition, when you practice it, don't practice it on the today you. Practice it on the part of you that doesn't feel safe. She's the one mimicking learned behaviors from her primary caregivers, the dismissal, the suck it up, the stop crying, the move on responses, so that you absorbed as a child. The part of you learned to dismiss emotions, and she's the one your health anxiety has been protecting all along. So when you go through the 5 steps, bring her forward. Feel her presence in your chest. Allow her to breathe with you. Bring her right here in her chest. And even to speak as you move through the sequence. Allow her to speak up. It's okay to listen to her. All she has are thoughts, not facts. You're showing her you're safe now. I've got you. We can breathe through this together. That's what makes the sequence so powerful. It's not just stopping spirals at the surface. It's healing the part of you that never felt safe and reconnecting her back to her intuition. Even if your health anxiety started later in life, the child in you never felt safe to feel emotions. That's why reparenting this part and rebuilding this relationship is the key. If tools feel too hard, it's not because something is wrong with you, or if it feels that like you're just managing. It's because you're not applying them to the right part of yourself. You're only applying them on the conscious level, and that doesn't create long-lasting change. The real shift happens when you bring those tools into the subconscious part, the protector, because that's the part running 95% of your life. And that's where the permanent transformation begins. We're not victims of our circumstances. We are the creators of our lives. And 86% of the reality that you create on a daily basis comes from your thoughts and beliefs. And 14% comes from the power of the universe and how the universe is helping you. Okay, love, that's it for today's episode. Your health anxiety is not the enemy. It's a protective mechanism that's been guarding the part of you that never felt safe enough to feel. When you reconnect with her, reparent her, and show her safety, you heal the root cause. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs this message today. And don't forget to download the 5-step sequence to stop spirals and reconnect with your intuition, which is in the link in the show notes. All right, I'll see you in the next one.